What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. So, as you guys know, on my channel, I like to hip you guys to certain things so you guys get the microscopes out and maybe start looking for some of these fighters and or fights. Now, I've done this in the past, and I posted this on my Instagram the other day, and I said I would try to make a video, so here it is. And this is another sleeper list. What the sleeper list is, basically, we all talk about the Canelos and Cottos, sometimes fights that aren't even made, Froch and Triple G. But these are some fights that are already made that I feel a lot of people are sleeping on. And I'm going to go one by one, talk about these fights, what I like about them, what's intriguing. And I think they're all good fights that aren't being talked about enough. And I just want people to pay attention to these fights because they could turn out to be something special. Now, the first fight is coming up June 13th. That's Nicholas Walters versus Miguel Mariaga. Now, the thing that I like about this is a rematch from the amateurs. If you guys know the story, Mariaga, he's a Colombian puncher. His knockout ratio currently as a pro is 90%. And he beat Nicholas Walters 2 times in the amateurs. One of them was for the Olympic qualifier. So basically, Mariaga shit on Nicholas Walters' opportunity to go to the Olympics and represent his country. So that's a good backstory. And it'll be interesting to see how much Nicholas Walters has learned, because by far his professional career, he's fought the better names. Guys like Vic Darchinyan and Nonito Donaire. If you were to box rec Miguel Mariaga's current pro resume, it trumps anybody on there. Donaire was a sensational win. Now, this is the other things to look at. Nicholas Walters, he hasn't fought since last year. I think summertime of last year, he was on the Triple G Rubio card. Triple G has fought a couple of times since then. He fought Martin Murray, Willie Monroe, and maybe even more than that. So other fighters are far more active than Nicholas Walters has been. I also seen some pictures of Nicholas Walters. It looked like he gained some weight. So being on a long layoff, beating a guy who might have some kind of psychological edge. Boxing is very psychological. Some people don't realize how much so. And sometimes when a guy has a win over you, they go in confident. Plus he has power, so that's always dangerous. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nicholas Walters reacts. If he can beat the guy that beat him, who ruined his chances to get to the Olympics, and he's the champion now. So I think this is power versus power. This has all the potential to be an explosive fight where I really see someone getting knocked out, at least knocked down, or maybe even a couple of knockdowns. So this is a good fight. Long layoff, Nicholas Walters, very athletic. He has a good jab, his sneaky uppercut. He has power against another guy with power. Now, the thing with Mariaga's power is, again, he hasn't fought the type of competition to make him, like, noteworthy. And sometimes you get that with, like, Marcos Maidana. When he was fighting back at home in Argentina, he was knocking everybody out. But when he came to the States and started fighting fighters from other regions like Eric Morales and Devin Alexander, he wasn't knocking everybody out like he was back at home. So it'll be interesting to see how Mariaga rises to the occasion or comes up short. And then the next fight, Mauricio Herrera versus Hank Lundy. Now, the thing I like about this fight is you got two guys with performances against top names at 140. Herrera fought Danny Garcia, Johan Perez. He recently fought Jose Benavidez, who just looked pretty impressive in his last fight. Hank Lundy's been in there with John Molina. He's been in there with Thomas Delorme, etc. So you got two cagey veterans, in my opinion. Herrera's also fought guys like Kareem Mayfield, things like that, Mike Alvarado. So two KG veterans, and they both are looking to get to that next level, that title shot, the fight with the big names in the division. We all know Herrera has been on the wrong side of some decisions in his career, and Hank Lundy, his last fight with Thomas Delorme, he was getting outboxed at first, and then Barry Hunter, his trainer, was getting in his ass, and he really turned it up, and it made for a very, very close fight where I think he started to make Thomas Delorme uncomfortable, and it became, he narrowed that margin. So both fighters know what's at stake. This is a good fight. This is a sleeper fight with two good styles, two guys who are not necessarily big punchers, but they're workers, and they have heart, so they're going to go out there, and I think they're going to really try to prove and catapult their careers to the next level so they can start getting the fights with the bigger names in the division, the Lucas Matisses, Danny Garcia. Actually, I think Danny's moving out of the division, But, you know, guys like Broner or whoever else happens to be the top, Terrence Crawford, they're looking to get those types of fights. So I think this is a really good fight. Also on my list, Hassan Nadam, David Lemieux, classic tale boxer versus puncher. Hassan Nadam being the closer to the pure boxer style, the technical boxer. David Lemieux being the aggressor. Both guys have losses on their career, but they bounced back nicely since those losses. I think Nadam, he faced Peter Quillen, got knocked down maybe 6 times, a gang of times, lost that fight, but he bounced back nicely versus Curtis Stevens and pretty much pitched a shutout, just completely outboxed him. And Curtis Stevens is another guy in the division with power. David Lemieux, same story. He's been stopped before. I think he lost to Alcine, got stopped by Rubio, switched some things in his camp, took it more serious, and came to the States, his first American performance at the Barclays, and he was able to stop Gabe Rosado, who is tough Philly warrior, and he looked good in that particular fight. So this is an interesting fight based on the styles. I want to see how Hassan Nadam uses his jab, his height, his movement, and I want to see how well a guy like David Lemieux can cut off the ring. Can he cut off the ring and impose his power like Triple G? Like, what level is he at? Because Triple G seems to be doing phenomenal against that particular style. If you try to move on Triple G, he's good at cutting off the ring and catching you and cornering you. So I want to see how good David Lemieux is, how much he's learned, how much he's improved. And same thing with Hassan Nadam. Winner will probably get a bigger fight in the future, maybe Triple G or somebody like Peter Quillen, Andy Lee, if they rematch, something like that in the future. So big things at middleweight in this particular fight. And last on my list, Timothy Bradley versus Jessie Vargas. Interesting fight. Timothy Bradley, don't know where his confidence is. He lost to Pacquiao. He came close to losing to Provatnikov. Most recently, he fought Diego Chavez, and it was a draw. I thought he should have won that fight outright, but the headbutt and the swollen eye made things a lot closer. Jessie Vargas was with Roy Jones Jr. Now he's with Eric Morales, so I'm interested how that partnership will look and how Eric Morales will have him looking. I know Roy Jones Jr.'s work with Jessie Vargas from his fight in Macau against Antonio DeMarco. Antonio DeMarco and Timothy Bradley are nothing alike, so we're going to test Jessie Vargas' undefeated record with this particular fight. There's also that Jessie Vargas fight. I forgot who he fought, Belmontes or somebody, and I thought he should have lost that fight. So I don't think he should be undefeated, but, I mean, the judges gave it to him. And this is an interesting fight. Both guys with a solid chin, both guys with heart. Actually, Jessie Vargas has a lot more experience than people give him credit for. He's been in there with some pretty good names in terms of the division. He's been in there with Josito Lopez and some different people. So I'm looking forward to this, and I want to see how hungry Timothy Bradley is. He has a deep resume. How bad does he want it to get back on the top? This is supposed to, and the reason I say supposed to is because it's uncertain at the moment. Bob Arum said on Monday that it's still for the vacant WBO title. Now, Mayweather said he was relinquishing his belts, but then he said he's changing his mind possibly, and maybe he doesn't want to relinquish the belt. So it's kind of up in the air. I don't know if the sanctioning body, the WBO, is going to allow Mayweather to get his belt back because he changed his mind, because it's rightfully his belt, but he said he was getting rid of it. So I don't really know what's going to happen, but Bob Arum states the WBO president said this is still a title fight, so I'm going to go with that, and it's a title fight. The winner is likely to face a guy like Saddam Ali, who's the mandatory for the WBO spot. And there's a lot on the line. If that belt is on line, reputation-wise, I know Jessie Vargas doesn't want to lose his undefeated record. Timothy Bradley's once beaten twice, if you count both Pacquiao fights as a loss, but on paper, once defeated. So it's an interesting fight. And that wraps up the sleeper list. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.